So what was the first thing on my list there? Oh, I have a couple things that I do without lotion or oil, right?
Before the lubrication,
Before lubrication.
you have erectors,
Okay, so that's
compression.
these muscles that you palpated this morning. So I forgot to, you can do that even while the sheet is still on them, in the blanket. You can do it like this. You can do it with your fingers, depending, again, their size and the size of your hands, what would feel good.
Why does it say usually from the opposite side of the table?
Again, it depends a little bit on their size and your size, about whether it feels like too much of a reach. I like to go across because then I can kind of press medial to lateral, which stretches them out more.
Yeah.
But if they're really wide and thick, in proportion to me, that might have me leaning too far, so I can't use good body mechanics. I might be like this. So then I might do better just coming in like this from this side. Okay, so that's one thing, and that can be comforting even while the blanket is still on at the very beginning. I forgot that was on my list. Okay. While you're doing it, I used to hear the phrase treatment is assessment is treatment. While you're doing it, you know, I can kind of start making mental notes about where something jumps out at me. Okay. So then next, I think I said deformation stretches of traps.
So,
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. So we didn't review this morning, but remember the lower traps are a V like this? The upper are kind of like this, the middle are like this, the lower are like this. So the lower ones are often ropey enough that I can get them between, I want to get not just skin. When it's your turn, I'm going to check you on this. I want to be able to feel muscle between my fingers. There. So where I feel the muscle is not up top here, but right close where my fingertips are. And now remember deformation, I'm stretching it a little bit I'm repositioning it. So I'm kind of reshaping it and bending it and torquing it different ways. So that's deformation. You can't always find, but sometimes you can find lower or middle traps to do that way. You can almost always do it up at the top here. And I don't think it's in my list of steps, but the sifting would look like this if I added that.
You're kind of rotating it front and backwards.
Yeah. One of the people who taught it to me called it money sign, which I don't like at all.
You call it what?
like you're
Money
counting
sign,
money.
like when you do this.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're counting money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, have we talked about what this means when the skin gets red afterward?
Brain blood flow?
Right, blood is flowing to a place that it hadn't been able to get. Do you remember why it couldn't get there? What it means that it couldn't get there before?
That the stuff, the cellular byproducts couldn't leave?
They couldn't leave because the blood wasn't flowing through, and the blood wasn't flowing through because the muscle was squeezing the blood vessels because it was so tight. Okay, this side is tighter than the other. See how I picked up a thicker piece? And it's not, when it's not as tight, it'll slip out of my fingers and be harder to grasp, but that's okay because if it's not as tight, it doesn't need this.
We were saying that this side
Mhm.
is higher. Is there
Yeah.
a reason why the muscle
Well, this would be
is
tighter. Okay, good question. Let me think. If this is forward, what makes sense to me is that then the trap is working harder trying to compensate and pull it back
Because the pectorals are too tight.
because the pectorals are too tight in front. So there's a general principle there that if somebody's back hurts, check the front because the back might be reacting to the front. And if you release just the back and leave that front shoulder pulled forward, then after a while the back will tighten up again. Okay. So that was deformation of the traps, and then I'm putting oil on. So now I'm going to bring this back down.